You cannot get the life that you truly want if you do not remove these people from your life. And first and foremost, before we get into the specific types of people that you need to remove from your life in order for you to be able to manifest, get your dream man, get the glow up you need, all of that good stuff, I want to preface this by saying the reason why it's so important to remove people from your life is because sometimes they're like a pair of sunglasses that you've been wearing for so long that you do not see what the world looks like without. So essentially, your view of the world has been distorted because of the people that you spend your time around, especially if you're someone who's always blaming everything on everyone and saying that everyone else has to change and not you, and that you can't understand why you're not getting what you truly want in your life. You're doing everything right. What you're probably not doing right just yet is that you haven't removed people from your life that you need to remove. And this can be friends you've been friends with for a long time. This could be family members you have to cut down contact with. And a lot of the time, this step is actually the hardest one, because this is the one where you have to let go of something that you have been used to for so long. And especially if you're a woman, we're very used to trying to be the moral person. So we don't want to cut anyone off because we're afraid they're going to see us as mean or bad. But don't worry, there are ways to cut off people in a way where it makes it more subtle so people don't come after you, because that's another part of cutting people out. You should never just write them some whole essay about why you're cutting them out, because that's going to make them come after you. And that's not protecting your power. The first type of person that you have to cut out when it comes to you leveling up and becoming a better version of yourself is negative people. And I feel like this is a no-brainer. Why are you hanging around negative people? Well, first and foremost, I'm the type of person, I am very much someone who used to be a people pleaser. And being around negative people is something that can actually make you feel like you are doing something for someone that has less than you. But in reality, you're actually dragging yourself down. You're not actually making progress. You're actually making yourself a victim of their mentality. And notice how I said you are making yourself a victim, because it is a choice to be around specific types of people, no matter how much you love them or they've been a part of your past, all of this. Ultimately, it is a choice. It can be a hard one, that's for sure, but that doesn't make it any less of a choice. The thing about negative people is that negative people, they're stuck in a mindset of negativity. We all know that. But what makes them so dangerous is that, well, they don't want to let go of that negativity mindset. So no matter how much you try to be on their side, whenever they're saying something bad, oh yeah, I get you, that's totally bad. These people are actually just waiting for that validation. They don't want to be around someone who doesn't validate them in their negativity, which is something that's really hard not to do if you're someone who has people-pleasing tendencies, because you want to make them understand that you are there for them. You're a good person. First and foremost, you have to be a good person towards yourself, and being a good person towards yourself is not surrounding yourself with negativity. Because the thing is, when you're leveling up, your vibration goes from down here to up here. And whenever someone is down here, they can't see far enough to actually be able to raise themselves to your level. So what happens is that you're up here, they're down here, there's a dissonance. Things don't match up. That's going to make it really uncomfortable for the person down here. It's also going to make it uncomfortable for you. But the only option there is you lowering yourself, not them changing themselves, because they don't know how to do that yet. They haven't made that conscious choice of leveling themselves up, so they can't get to your level. This is why the only thing you can actually do, the most merciful thing, the nicest, the most moral thing you can do when it comes to being around negative people is to leave them alone and not react to any of their negativity. Just say, yeah, okay. And then also keep working on yourself. If they want to spiral into some negativity and they want to project that onto you, just be like, oh, you know what? I have a call I have to take. I have someone I have to text. That is actually a very, be it toxic way of making sure that you don't entertain negative people. This is also why negative people are going to say that you're mean and you don't care. But that's the nicest way of doing things. Mind you, you don't owe anyone anything. You owe yourself the best. So another thing about negative people is that they can actually drag you into having a victim complex because you're constantly giving from a place where you don't have enough for yourself yet if you're still on your growth journey. So you're depleting yourself around them and you think you're getting something out of it. You think, okay, well, if I feed good energy into this person who doesn't like themselves, then I'm bound to get something back. I'm bound that they're going to repay me. No, when you give, this is very important. When you give, you should be giving without expecting something back. Of course, it's different if you're in a relationship. That's not what we're talking about. But in general, when it comes to you getting the life that you truly want and the law of attraction, you should be giving without expecting something back because you know whatever's right for you, the universe is going to give to you. You're meant to receive from the universe, not from people that you're giving to. Because that's very transactional and it's gonna make you really, really resentful towards people that do not give back to you. And it's gonna actually make you resentful towards the universe because you're like, why am I not getting what I want? I feel like I'm giving so much to people and they're not giving anything back to me. They're not supposed to. You're supposed to be giving when you have abundant sources, when you have enough. You're not supposed to be giving if you don't have enough. It's like when you're on a plane and you have to put on your own oxygen mask first. You cannot help anyone if you do not have oxygen flowing for yourself. You're literally gonna pass out. And then who did you help? No one, because you didn't help yourself. And then you're gonna be really resentful. You're gonna be like, why are things not happening for me? I don't get it. It's because you're giving from somewhere where you haven't built up enough for yourself yet. And this leads me to the second type of person you have to avoid at all costs, which is kind of like the negative person. The negative person is kind of like the standard you have to avoid. But this is the person that is always talking about how they could never be doing what you're doing. Wow, you're leveling up. I could never do that. Wow, you're doing a lot, aren't you? Wow, you lost a lot of weight. Wow, you gained some weight. This is also the type of person that will reach out to you and be like, oh, we should go do something soon. But then when you're together and you're just having a comfy chit-chat conversation, which is not so comfy after all, they're gonna be like, what are you doing? How are you doing? What's up with you? They really want to know a lot about you just for them to be able to say, oh, I could never do that. That's really a lot. These are people that are actually very, very insecure and they do not want to have you be someone who levels up because that means that they have the opportunity to also do so and actually remove their insecurity mindset. That means that whatever it is, maybe you've been insecure before and now you're less insecure. They want to keep you insecure. They want you to be indecisive because the most indecisive people are also the most easily manipulated. If you do not know what you want, if you do not know what you're doing is right, if you do not have certainty, you're going to be really easily manipulated by everyone else because you're afraid and you want to go to them. So essentially they want to have you depend on them. They want you to be like clinging to them. That's why they're raising all of these doubts. And they might be doing it subconsciously, like that's just what they say, but it's still a red flag and it's still something to very much look out for. The next type of person that you have to avoid if you ever want to level up and you have to cut out at all costs are energy vampires. And what's an energy vampire? Well, an energy vampire is someone who recognizes that you have certain talents, that you are actually someone who's glowing up, who's growing up, who's becoming a better version of yourself. Your frequency is going from here to here, and they want to do it too. They know they want to do it too, but they don't want to do the work. So what they want to do is that they want to drain you from your power so they can have it for themselves. They essentially want to switch places with you. And the way that they do that is kind of like the, oh, I could never do that person, is that they create doubts when they see that you are powerful and you have enough. And they also ask you a freaky amount of questions. They will question you a lot, especially about personal things. Oh, what's your relationship like? What was your past like? Did this ever happen to you? They will bombard you with questions because first and foremost, they're trying to figure out how you got to where you got to. And they're also trying to drain you so that you don't seem as powerful as before. Because when you're constantly trying to answer these people's questions, then you're not going to have any more energy left for yourself. And that's a tactical move that a lot of energy vampires pull off. Because you're going to be like, ugh, when you're done with talking to them. And then they're going to be like, okay, now this person isn't a threat anymore. Now I can do whatever I need to do. They basically see you as competition. which is really, really dangerous and really, really bad. So you really need to stay away from this type of person. And the whole trying to drain you so you do not have any resources left for yourself is a very common trick between anyone who you have to stay away from, because it's the easiest way of keeping you from getting what you truly want. Because again, you're going to be confused, you're going to be tired, so you're not going to have the energy you need to have in order to pursue what you want to pursue. And because you're a nice person and you want to be good and you want to have friends, you're going to be supplying all of the information that they're asking for, questioning why you're really, really tired, because they want you to be. The next type of person you have to stay away from at all costs is victim complex people. And a lot of people that are on a self-growth journey or want to get a better life are actually usually, a lot of the time, not always, they're stuck in a victim complex themselves. A lot of the people that actually have victim complexes actually go on to become the people that are the strongest mentally, spiritually, and they actually get everything that they want because they realized how much of a trap being a victim, like thinking you're a victim, is. Essentially how much having a victim complex will actually set you back. Victim complex people are people that have gone through something when they're children usually. And when you're a child, you can't control much. It is not in your hands to be able to decide what happens. And if you do not people please, if you do not tend to the people around you, you could literally be rejected by the flock, which means that you won't be getting any food to eat, which means you would jeopardize your survival. So first and foremost, I want to say that having a victim complex is definitely not something to ever be ashamed of if you had one or if you have one. I had one myself, so I know what it feels like. But the reason why it's very important to stay away from victim complex people when you're leveling up your life is because victim complex people will make you end up having a victim complex again yourself. Victim complex people, they are always on about how everyone else has to change and the system is bad and the economy is bad and their narcissistic mother and their narcissistic boyfriend and their narcissistic everything. There's always a big focus on narcissism. And I'm not saying that someone in your life can't have been a narcissist. I'm just saying that a lot of people with victim complexes, they're always trying to put focus on someone else and say that they're the villain and they're the cause of everything. Kind of like some revenge type thing where they want the person to come back and tell them they're sorry and they can't change because this person made them such a mess, so now they have to wait till they come and kiss their feet and apologize. And it's very important to understand that these people have these complexes for a reason. There's nothing wrong with that, as I said before, but it is very important that you stay away from them. And when you are leveling up your life, you are getting more, they're going to be really, really resentful towards you because they're going to realize that their alibi of having a victim complex is not something they can keep up in your company. The whole, I can't do this because this and this and that. I can't change my life because this and this and that. And the world needs to change and yada, yada, yada. They're going to be on some, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that. They're going to do that because it's essentially keeping up their alibi of never having to do anything. And when they don't have to do anything and they can get validation from just saying how hard they have it, that's what they're going to continue doing, which is why you can't be around them. This is also why when you have victim complex friends, they gotta go. They gotta go. I'm sorry to say it, but they gotta go. Even if you've been friends for many, many years, even if it's your mom, even if it's your neighbor that you used to hang around all the time, you cannot be spending your time around these people because they will make you validate them so that they do not have to change. Again, the most merciful, nicest, and moral thing you can do in this case is to keep leveling up yourself, keep climbing your mountain of self-growth to the point where you can help them at the top of the mountain, not carry them with you on your journey upward on the mountain and you're literally being like held back down by the weight of them. Because they're not going to change. They just want someone to validate their reality so they don't have to change. So you might think that you're doing them a favor by helping them out when they're screaming and kicking about how hard they have it, but they're not gonna. You have to leave them alone. It's kind of like a screaming kid who's begging for candy. I want candy. I want candy. And the mom gives the kid candy after they scream for a little while. That kid's gonna learn if they scream enough, they're gonna get what they want, but they don't have to change their behavior. They're not gonna have to act right. And the mom is wondering, why is my kid not acting right? I'm just doing what I need to do. No, you're not letting him figure it out himself. You're not letting him figure out that you can't get what you want by screaming. You have to do what you need to do to get what you want. And victim complex people, as I said before, will also turn you into someone who has a victim complex if you haven't already had one before. Because what happens is that they make you do all of this and all of that and all of this and all of that to make them feel better. And then you end up being their caretaker. This is something that happens to a lot of women in relationships with very, very feminine men, or men that don't have a lot of security within themselves, men that don't like themselves, insecure men essentially, because they're trying to always boost this man's morale. They think that they're doing him a favor by being such a nice woman and taking care of things and boosting his morale. But in reality, they're actually digging their own victim complex grave, because what's going to happen is that this guy is not going to find the motivation to become a better man by you doing things for him. You think he might, but he won't. So what he's going to do is he's going to continue screaming and kicking and crying for candy like a little kid, because he knows you're going to supply it to him, which means you're not going to have the energy you need to focus on yourself and better yourself, which means that you're going to dig your grave, your hole, like further and further down. You're going to think you're doing them a favor, but in reality, you're literally doing yourself a disservice, because they're not going to own up to it. If they have a bad mentality, they're going to continue to have a bad mentality. And then you think you need to care for them more and more and more, because they're going to become worse. They're going to try to be worse because they know that if they become worse, and then you're going to take more care of them, you're going to sacrifice more of yourself. So you're going to have less and less and less to yourself, to the point where you're so depleted that you're going to resent the whole world. You're not going to resent the person who set you up for having the victim complex. You know why? Because you think you're doing them a service. You think you're being a perfectly good fairy godmother towards them. You're going to resent you can't figure out why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I don't deserve to be in this position. And because you don't want to look at your own little situation at home, you're going to try to look outwards. You're going to look towards the world and be like, well, the world doesn't care. The world is at fault for making my man feel like this. The world is at fault for making it so that I can't get what I truly want. No, girl, you're not getting what you truly want, because you're putting all of your energy into something that will never appreciate. People around you can either be a liability or an asset, and you have to figure out which one they are, and you have to cut out the people that are liabilities. Because the people that are liabilities will make you go into mental debt. They will make you go into emotional, spiritual, mental debt, because you thought that you were investing in something. You thought you were investing in something good, but in reality, it's just some scheme to get you to invest your money and never get anything back. They are trying to tell you that if you help me out, things will be better, but things never become better. This is why you have to stay far, far away from these people. They're not going to make your life better. They're not going to make you happier. They're going to make you think that you're a good, nice fairy godmother person for a little while, until you do not have enough energy to make yourself a better version of yourself. And then you're going to start hating the world, because you can't understand that someone who would be good towards other people would get such a bad life. So you're going to have a victim complex there yourself. And then you wonder why people won't help you out. It's because a lot of people that don't want to help people out with victim complexes, the people that don't want to help people with victim complexes, understand that the only thing they can do that's actually moral and nice is to leave them alone to figure out their own mess. Because if they start helping them, that help will only make them validate their victim complex even more. So if you're wondering why people won't help you when you're at your lowest, and when you hate the world, and when things are not going right for you, it is because if you are not ready for change yourself, if you're not trying to make your life better, if you're not helping yourself, people won't help you, because they understand that it's a liability to be around you, because you're going to drag them down. It's a healthy boundary. It is completely healthy and normal not to want to be around people with victim complexes, because it's dangerous. It's going to take away from the time and the energy you could put into yourself. It's a liability. It's not an asset. It's not going to pay you back. So you are going to feel like people are leaving you behind. Why are they not helping me out? Why is the world so cruel? Because you have to help yourself first. You have to make an effort with yourself in order for the world to make an effort with you. You can't just sit and say, well, if I look like I don't have my life together, then people will help me. They're gonna see you're just out for the help. You're not out to help yourself. So stay away from victim complex people because they're gonna give you a victim complex. The next type of person you have to stay away from is gonna be a little bit unpopular, but you have to stay away from broke people. And I don't necessarily mean broke people just like money-wise. I mean broke people mentally. But the thing is, people that are mentally broke, spiritually broke, all of this will also usually be financially broke. So it is actually very important when it comes to you leveling up your life. If you want to become richer, if you actually want to have an abundance of money coming in, you cannot be hanging around people that have a broke mentality. And as I said before, the broke mentality often means that you do not have any money. And this one is so hard for a lot of people to actually cut out because they think, well, just because my friends don't have any money doesn't mean that I shouldn't be hanging around them. Like we're friends. Money doesn't matter. And you can absolutely be someone who has a rich mentality, someone who has a lot of riches within yourself, but you're not a multimillionaire. Absolutely. But you have to ask yourself, does any of these friends that you say that you want to hang around with, even though they don't have any money, do these people have any of these other tendencies that I've mentioned in this video? If they do, then they're a double threat. So you have to cut them off. And at the same time, one thing that's also very important to understand when it comes to you growing is that when you are growing, you are going to have to step into specific types of environments. When you are creating your avatar, the avatar that's going to take you into the environments that you want to go into, you're going to have to be very wary of the fact that you can't be hanging around people that are constantly muttering the fact that, oh, some people just have too much money. Some people just don't want to give any money. If there are people around you that are constantly talking bad about rich people, be wary. Be really, really wary. It is so normalized today to talk really, really badly about people who have money. And there are definitely bad people with money, but there are also bad people that don't have any money. And if you ever actually want to be abundant, you have to surround yourself with people and books and music and whatever that talks about money in a positive way. Because you're not going to be able to get any money if you do not think that money is a tool for greatness, and instead you think money is something that's going to make you a terrible person. Money is the root of all evil. If you are around people that say that money is the root of all evil and people who have a lot of money, they're terrible, this is also the type of person who's negative. These people fall into the negative category because they think, and these people are also maybe often people with victim complexes. Because they think that the world economy is at fault for them making poor choices in their life. And if you said to them, what about becoming a little bit more financially literate, reading a book about how you can build wealth? They're going to be like, well, I don't have any wealth, so why should I read that book? Usually, people that are broke mentality are also people that do not want to change. They're people who have a fixed mindset. People who have a fixed mindset think that what they're doing is the right thing and it shouldn't be questioned. And if you tell them that maybe what they're doing isn't right and they could actually get a better outcome if they did something else, they're gonna get really angry at you because they don't want to do more. They think what they're doing is right. They can't understand why, I should be getting more money. I'm working really, really hard. And it's very important to note that working really, really hard, working for money is not going to make you rich. You have to make money work for you. But you don't realize that unless you actually financially educate yourself. And financial education is also going to make you someone who is more spiritually aligned, because if you want to grow abundance when it comes to money, you're going to be able to grow abundance with everything else, because monetary abundance does not come from you sitting around saying, I don't want to learn, I don't want to learn. It comes from you saying, you know what I am doing right now might not be right, because why would I not have any money then? Because there's so much money out in this world. There's literally so much money. There's being millions and millions transferred right now. So why are you not having it? It's because there's something you need to work on. And if you have a fixed mindset, you think that everything else is at fault and you can't change anything. You're working really hard and why is nothing changing? It's because you're not making the money work for you. And you don't make money work for you unless you get a growth mindset. And what is a growth mindset? A growth mindset is a mindset where you understand that the only way to get to where you're going is by falling down sometimes. It's by trying out things that you can figure out that, you know what, this wasn't the way to go. It's basically by understanding that you need to move forward all the time, and if something goes wrong, you have to course correct. People with a growth mindset understand that if there's something that's not going the way that they want or how they think it should be going, is because they need to change something. But people with a fixed mindset, they believe that it's not their fault, something around them needs to change, and they're doing everything correct anyway. They're not going to actually understand that the way to get what they truly want is probably for them to learn one more skill. They're very caught up in this idea that, well, I want to do what I want to do. I should be able to do what I want to do, and you can't change that. Yeah, you should be able to do what you want to do, but you can never be able to do that in the long haul with all the resources that you actually need to sustain yourself. You should be able to do what you want to do, but you cannot be able to do that if you do not learn that extra skill that you might need to learn in order for you to be able to get to a point where things run smoothly. As they say in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I can definitely recommend reading, when you get a book that says best-selling author, it doesn't say best writing author. It says best selling, because you can be a really good writer, but if you do not know how to promote yourself, and if you do not know how to get to the point where you can do whatever you want and it's going to be seamless, it's going to get you the resources, the money that you want, you're not going to be able to get best-selling author. You're not going to be able to get what you truly want, because you are so fixed on the fact that, well, I'm a really, really good writer and I only want to do writing. I should be able to do whatever it is I want to do. I should be able to express myself however I want to do. I only want to do this. I shouldn't have to change myself for anyone. No, you have to change yourself for yourself. You have to learn extra things for yourself. And this is also why being around men with broke mentalities is really, really dangerous when you're a woman and you're trying to level yourself up and you're actually maybe trying to have a good relationship. Because men with broke mentalities will set you back. This is why you can't be dating broke men. Both broke monetarily, but also broke mentality, because they go hand in hand. Because these men, they're not looking for solutions. They're looking for someone to validate them. So they're never going to be able to help you out. So you're going to be burned out. They might promise you this and this and that, but if they're not acting on it and if they're not ready to fail, then they're actually not going to be able to step into their true masculine. And they're going to continue making you the masculine in the relationship. And that's going to burn you out severely. They're going to expect you to give them everything without them giving anything. And you're going to think that they're going to give you something back because you're a good moral person. But that's not how it works. And they're going to be like, well, women should love me even if I'm broke. Broke men deserve love too. What about broke men? Don't they also deserve someone that loves them? Yeah, they do, but that someone should be themselves. That someone should be themselves enough to the point where they want to change. They shouldn't have to go to someone else to get that validation, because a partnership is always something that needs to be between two people that are willing to work on themselves, so that when they are alone, they can actually function. But when they are together, they appreciate. Our relationship is supposed to be an asset. It's not supposed to be a liability. And I've said that before. You need to treat your friends and your family and your partnerships as, are they assets or are they liabilities? And your relationship with a man, if you're a woman, if you're a man too, you can also have a man. You need to think about if this person is someone, you need to think about whether they're an asset or if they're a liability. Are they making your life better or not?